Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, there seems to be no end in sight to the country's water crisis. Reservoirs in Tshwane are running dry. The city says that there was no overnight supply from rainwater to the Garsfontein Reservoir. The municipality is blaming the poor supply on the ongoing power cuts. Senior reporter Silindelo Masikane is tracking the story and she joins us now live just to give us an update. Sli, what is the latest there in the city of Tshwane?
Well, it does seem as though that the mayor of the city of Tshwane has requested an urgent meeting once more with officials from Rand Water to get a better sense as to when the supply issue from Rand Water's side will be sorted out. It does seem as though several reservoirs are running low due to the fact that the supply from Rand Water just has not been consistent. In fact, one of the reservoirs, Grootfontein, at this stage, as of this morning, is sitting at 2%. There are several areas that have been affected by this lack of supply. The high-lying areas in certain parts of the east of Pretoria, as well as the west, in particular the hills, Mooikloof, that's where we are right now, are some of those areas that have been affected. And in fact, speaking to some of the residents a few minutes ago, Maseko, you can tell that the frustration is boiling over. Many of these residences are in estates that have animals in them. And they're saying that they are desperate for the situation to be resolved. Many residents have been without water for about 8 days. Others are approaching about 20 days. We had an opportunity to speak to the MMC for utilities in the city of Tshwane. Let's take a listen.
We've been struggling with a number of reservoirs across the length and breadth of the city, from Soshanguve right the way across, including Waterkloof, Monument Park, Eladis Park, Moreleta Park, and then all the way out to the far east, Mooikloof, Grootfontein, and the hills. And the issue is obviously to do with the Rand Water's restriction or limitation of flow on the water meters at City of Tshwane, but there are also problems seemingly within their system and very low levels within their system at their key reservoirs, and this is impacting on the pressures that we are receiving. And the systems are obviously dependent not just on water supply but at pressure, and so that's having a negative impact.
All right, Slee, so are they blaming load shedding? Has it had any impact?
Yeah, Maseko, it does seem as though load shedding has had some kind of an impact in terms of the restoration of water supply, in terms of pumping. And we understand that the municipality is battling with that particular issue as well in terms of restoring water supply, saying that there are plans in the pipeline to have some backup power at these reservoirs. However, at this point, load shedding is certainly impacting on the timing and the speed in which water can be restored. Let's take a listen.
Absolutely, load shedding causes us major headaches, and aside from the damage it does to the electrical system, it obviously impacts, and particularly on the higher levels of load shedding from 4 upwards, in terms of your ability to then pump water where needed, because it's not all just reliant on gravity. So we have to be able to pump water. Where possible, we do try and exempt those sorts of pump stations on water and sewer for that matter, but it's not always possible or practical to do so. And so that does have a significant impact on our operations.
So what relief is being provided then, and what are experts saying about this?
Well, in terms of relief, Maseko, we know that water tankers have been dispersed and distributed in terms of the areas that are affected. They do come at specific times. But we also know that in terms of residents themselves, they've actually taken matters into their own hands. It's a bit of a costly exercise, but they are buying 5 liters of water where they can in order to be able to have at least some drinking water. in the meantime. But also speaking to some experts, it does seem as though that this water supply issue is not even about scarcity. It seems South Africa at this point does have enough water. It just comes down to that issue of governance and what we're seeing happening in a number of our municipalities when it comes to these coalition governments, where it doesn't seem as though decisions and the right people are being put in place with the right expertise to be able to resolve this issue. And one particular expert that I spoke to said that at this point it seems that the issue will only get worse. Let's take a listen.
The solution would be to reinstate technically competent people and hold them accountable. But that's very glib, and that's one sentence, and it sounds very simple. But if we just look a little bit wider at the moment now, we find that most of these water problems are in fact municipal related. So while the Department of Water and Sanitation has a national responsibility, it cannot be responsible for supplying water to the household. That's a municipal function. And the municipal reticulation and storage, that's a municipal function. And now we just look no further than what's happening in Johannesburg at the moment, where there's the leadership of the mayoral leadership has collapsed. There's infighting, there's faction fights, there's different coalition governments that are coming and going. You cannot expect to provide technical solutions to extremely complex problems while there is this instability at leadership level. So as far as I'm concerned, until such time as we can get politically stable leadership in place that understands the complexity of what they're dealing with, until that happens, I'm afraid I can only see this problem getting worse, not getting better.